Well, welcome back to Mr. Obsoletes Vintage Homesteading. Today is a milestone for us. This will be our 100th video, and that's quite a deal for us. And we do them once a week. We're still a small channel and probably always will be, but we cover a lot of different things, a lot of different subjects. When you use antique, vintage, tools, machinery, and equipment, so there's always something new to talk about. Well, today we have a new addition, and it's not this, and believe it or not, it's not even a vintage chainsaw, which we've been doing a lot of lately. So we'll be back here and show you what we've got. Well, we've been looking for something like this for quite a while, just finding the right opportunity. A buddy of mine called me up here a while back and told me about this little item, and it was from an estate, and so the price was right. This is exactly what we're looking for, so here we go. Well, our new treasure is a 1955 Oliver OC3 crawler dozer, made by the Oliver Tractor Company. This one was made from 1939 until 1957, when they were phased out and they came out with a bigger version of it. But this particular tractor has not had a whole lot of use because the grousers are real tall. The front sprocket doesn't have any wear in it, nor the rear sprocket here where the rollers ride. It's in really nice shape. That's something that's important when you're looking for these. And you can see right here, it says Oliver on the manifolds here. The nice thing about this one, even though it looks a little ratty and stuff from sitting, the engine was completely overhauled 16 years ago by a friend of mine. He was the same person that told me about it. And so I've got the engine turning over, I've got the carburetor off and rebuilding it, and working over the starter, and the magneto ignition needed some work, so I'm doing all that stuff on it. But other than a little rust on it, it's in really good solid condition. The dozer, I don't have the blade on it right yet, but I do have it. And the accessories for these were made by Anderson, who made this blade assembly, and then Ware was another that made a lot of these for loaders, which was really popular for. These were originally designed and used mostly just for farming, but a lot of accessories came out for them, and the dozer was one thing. They changed the gearing in the rear end so that they would have more power. And speaking about the power, the engine is a Hercules engine. And at one time that was the world's largest producer of gasoline engines. And back in the 80s and 90s, when there were all these corporate raiding and companies would go in and buy them out and then liquidate them, that's what happened to them, even though they were making money and had a big workforce and stuff, and so they disappeared. This is an IXB model, which is 133 cubic inch. It's rated at 27 horsepower at 1700 RPM. And these things are really tough. The blocks are made out of chromoly steel, not cast iron like most cheapo engines. And so keep the air cleaner clean and stuff, man. These things will last forever. And I have a lot of experience working on these engines. I really like them. So anyway, hopefully this will be a fairly quick project. I'm going to pull the head off, and I'll probably end up doing a valve job on it and stuff, and just want to inspect the inside of the motor and make sure there's no problems with it. Anyway, we'll come back and show you the other side. Well, these are very simply built. Like for adjusting the tracks here, just have a nut and a threaded shaft, and you can rotate that as a spring loaded here to have a little flex in it when you're on rough ground. And very simple. The hood and the gas tank and all that stuff are just very simple sheet metal pieces. There again, you can see the thickness of the rails here is pretty thick, so there it hasn't had a whole lot of use. And here's the main spring here for articulation and stuff, and there again riding on rough ground. And the seat is just very simple bucket seat, just typical of all farm tractors pretty much. And we'll come back and show you the back here. Okay, we'll talk about some of the features. These are very simply laid out. Here's your control for your blade. And the thing that's unique about Cleatrax and Oliver crawler tractors is that they use what's called differential steering, and have two big drums in there and have a brake band on them, and these levers tighten up on that drum and it'll make it turn. And actually it's one of the best things, especially for a light tractor. Like if you have a D2 or D4 cat, if you want to turn, you pull a lever to disengage the power to that track, and then you use a brake to steer it, make it turn. With these, you have power to both tracks all the time, and if they're in really good shape, these things will turn around in their own length. Really slick, and I used it from the smallest to the largest they made. And the differential bands and stuff are down in here, and you can see the axle housings out there. And up in the top here you got a shift lever and your clutch, just normal stuff. But anyway, Oliver started out in 1853 as a plow company and stuff, and then 1930 they bought a bunch of companies that made threshers and planting equipment and different things, and it became the Oliver Farm Equipment Company. In 1944 they bought Cleatrax for crawler tractors, and for a few years they called them Oliver Cleatrax, and then they just phased out the Cleatrax name altogether and just called them straight Olivers. And these were made through 1957, I believe, and then the crawler line itself went out in 1965. They quit producing any crawler tractors, but they were industry leader in technology. They had the first hydraulic drives and stuff like that, and all the stuff that you see on the stuff today, but they never pursued it and really made any big market dent in it. So anyway, just another part of history, just like all the rest, but we get this thing running, get the blade working, and put it to work. So we'll be back. Well, here's just a few more features. This is the hydraulic drive pump that pumps the oil through the system to raise and lower the blade. And you can see the Oliver name on the grill here. Unique thing about this blade, this is just the back part of it here, and the blade actually sits on there. It has these holes right here, and you can drop a pin on it so you can take it on and off if you don't want it, if you're out doing work in your garden or something like that and you want the width out catching stuff. You can just take it off in about 1 minute. Really a slick design there. So anyway, there you go. New addition to the Homestead, and hopefully be running soon. As we do the work on it, we'll kind of take you along with it too on some upcoming videos. And speaking of videos, there's been a kind of an upsurge in people watching and subscribing and stuff, which I'd like to thank everybody and those that have stayed with us over the time. So we'll keep working on making videos every week.